Steve.
Hello again, and welcome back to Breaking Down Buhurt. I'm Sean Roberon, the team captain of the Green Mountain Hermits, which is the men's team for Vermont Armored Combat. Nobody's here with me again, except for my helmet. I brought that today to show off the new paint job that I've been working on for it. You actually see it's got this white design on it. That I put on. I was feeling a little discouraged over the last couple of days thinking about armor and thinking about how in the rules for many of the leagues they care greatly about the historical authenticity of your pieces, and therefore because of that they don't really like the idea of painted armor, which from some people's point of view is a little silly, because if you look into the old paintings to try to find historical documentation of painted armor, it exists. There are documented sightings of painted armor, and they put it on art and tapestries that show people at battle with colored helmets and armor pieces and stuff like that. It's and that's a little frustrating for me, because they care greatly about the historical authenticity, but then there's things inside of the sport that aren't historically accurate that they still allow, but for some reason they get disgruntled about the paint jobs. I understand that my paint job that I've done here, because I've done all white and then there's like the speckles of this gray that's on it. I know that is not a pattern that exists in some tapestry or painting or something that exists from some historical document. I know it's not that, but it's what I enjoy. And the other day I just decided I don't want to have to limit myself when it comes to my level of enjoyment in the sport by not having fun with the armor that I have. And so I just decided I'm going to paint it. And if I can't go to an event because of that, then that's fine, because I get plenty of opportunities to fight some of the best fighters around. Like just this last weekend at the Mutton and Mead festival that Vermont Armored Combat hosted the armored combat component of, I got to fight against Sam, who Sam is one of the best longsword fighters in the world when it comes to the sport. And I didn't have to travel to some big tournament that cared about historical authenticity. So I'm not worried anymore about trying to compete on any type of level that requires that. I'm going to have fun in the sport. I'm going to be able to fight lots of people that I will enjoy fighting, and fight alongside people that I want to fight alongside with, and just play. So that was my decision the other day, and it made me feel a lot better about how I'm going into this sport, rather than thinking about I got to make sure that my armor follows these particular codes of conduct in order to make sure that I'm even allowed to be in the sport. So yeah, I'm going to have a blast, and so I'm going to be a white knight instead of a green knight, and that's simply because a lot of other people I see do the whole green knight thing. Somebody's got a little bit of green paint on their armor, or everybody's doing the green tabards, or even showing the Green Man logo on them. And I want to be able to stand out as my own thing. And so I don't see very many other people doing this. So I'm going to have a lot of fun with that. But the main thing that we're here to talk about is the Mutton and Mead Renaissance Festival, the Road to Revelry festival that they had just this last Saturday. And it was a blast. We had, I think, 12 fighters there. and we had 4 different brackets of the tournament. We had the longsword, we had the sword and buckler, we had night fights, and then we also had a very quick pole arm tournament because there were only 2 people that entered for the pole arm. I only entered the longsword, and that was just because I was kind of viewing the event as something that I was having to moderate, something I had to MC for, to look after. So I only entered the longsword in order to make sure that I was available for whatever would be needed for the event. I've got a bunch of footage that I wanted to show people today from the event, that is of all the different fights that happened, and be able to talk to you about those different fights. So let's get right to that. So, we have one of the North Horde from Boston speaking very silly at the beginning, very much the pro wrestler style of speaking to get everybody ready for the fight. And this was the first fight of the day, and so very low crowds. This was only about like 30 minutes into the event actually starting, so they missed a lot of our first 1 or 2 fights. But very quickly you'll notice the crowds definitely grow as the actual event goes on. And so in this match we have Jacob, who's from the Portland Reavers over in Maine, and we've got Nate, who's down in Boston, who I think fights alongside the other North Horde members. And so this is our longsword tournament that we started. And so Cody, who is one of our Vermont Armored Combat members, they're a newer person, and they're helping out by being the marshal of the event, and trying to get people excited about it. The list that we've got, which is the frame that goes around the fighters, it's hard to tell, but there's rope, that white rope, running between each of these posts, and it all worked out great because we had these stakes that the Mutton and Mead people had lent to us to be able to make sure everything was really staked down to the ground. And the list worked out great because we were able to make a very large space using this very simple list. Yes, there was no fighting on the list, but that worked for all the different things that we were doing that day. So yeah, Nate and Jacob beginning their fight. This is actually the first time Jacob has worn his armor for an event. He's done some arming point work, that type of stuff, but this is the first time he has taken the opportunity to fight, and Jacob's the one in the red. They did a great job, a lot of flurries. They had some good back and forth, but Jacob definitely was able to be a very aggressive fighter during this first round, which made Nate continue to have to be on the defensive and to keep falling back from the fight. They both did a great job, though. Everybody who came this last weekend just had a blast and did awesome. Oh, and we were doing 60-second rounds with 30-second breaks. So shorter breaks in order to try to get the fights going as quickly as possible.
For everybody gathering, we are hosting a tournament for longsword. All of our fighters are competing for prizes today. They are trying to win. Anything that counts as a point, as a meaningful hit on the body, generally anywhere between the head and the ankles. Points are not counted on the hands and feet.
Oh yeah, and the prizes that Cody was just talking about were donated to us by Cobco Arena Games in Charlestown, New Hampshire. And they were great. They donated $1,000 worth of products to us for us to be able to give out as a prize pool to the fighters for these different tournaments. You notice a few people starting to wander in here and there, getting more interested in what we were doing. We definitely kept drawing in a really big crowd, and the event was actually sold out. By the end of the evening, there were very big crowds there. And it's cool, we have Kai over on the left of the video. Oh, yep, Jacob fell over. Kai over to the left of the video on a drum that one of our other fighters brought with them for the event, and Kai was able to play on the drum to try to create rhythms and beats, like to get the fighters going, get a rhythm going, get people excited about it.
Give them a hand, everybody! All right,
And so after this, Jacob was the one who won that match. And so then the next one, we've got... Oh, why is it not going? There we go. So this is the second match. We had Colby versus Sam. And Sam is that national longsword champion. Very good fighter. And yeah, their fight was very fun. Colby tried being pretty aggressive in this, trying to just outspeed Sam. But that's very difficult. Sam is a phenomenal fighter, very fast, and very capable of keeping the momentum up with you. So it's tough to find the way to really beat them. But Colby did a couple really good moves where they were able to like duck low, get a shot, and be able to get a block up at the same time to be able to actually make a strike without just trading for hits or actually losing ground by having Sam get them multiple times. So this is into the second round. We did best 2 out of 3, so if someone we did accumulative point keeping, and so if someone made more points in the first 2 rounds than the other person, then we wouldn't go to a third round. That would just be the end of the fight. And so, yep, okay, there they go. They're really going at it. Yeah, they got that strike there on the ankle without getting hit back. Good trade. You'll notice the crowd starting to grow. Yeah, so Sam ended up winning that match. Good fight. It was a very good fight. So here's third round. Jacob having to come back to fight against Will, our team founder here at VAC. And so they went at it.
Yeah!
Will has been doing this a little bit longer than Jacob, so they have a lot more experience in the longsword, and they're very good at it. They've competed nationally in events, and they're very good at this at the longsword. They train all of us at VAC. Jacob is bigger, and so every once in a while Jacob tried taking advantage of that, like trying to push Will around, but for the most part they were doing a very nice longsword duel where both people kind of respecting the space of the other. And yeah, Will was definitely the quicker fighter between the two of them, but something that Will had as another advantage was that because of the odd numbers that we had in the tournament, they didn't have to fight a first round before fighting Jacob. And so they're kind of at an advantage of energy because they immediately got bumped up into the second bracket of the tournament. getting caught up in that slight grapple again. One thing I would say for Jacob here is that if they're getting caught in those grapples, to find ways to gain the upper hand of the grapple with the pommel and cross guard of their sword, to be able to push around the opponent and get some strikes in when the grapple is starting to get broken up. That would have helped a lot. But yeah, Will ended up winning that match. So then we had myself going up against Sam. I'm always excited to be able to fight against Sam. They're a very good longsword fighter, and it's always like a learning experience for me. That's how I always look at it whenever I get the opportunity to fight against them. And I had that same advantage that Will had from the first round, in that I didn't have to fight someone else before going up against Sam. So I definitely would say I have a little bit more energy because I'm fresh. But even with that, Sam rocked me. But I greatly appreciated the fight, and always really enjoy this.
Fighters, are you ready? Audience, are you ready?
And that's Kim, my wife, cheering me on as the Green Knight, even though now I'll be the White Knight. Something that I gotta work on when it comes to Sam, I think, is like I just need to not let up. I think I need to work harder at just that flurry, to just stay on the offense, keep swinging, and see that throw that such a smooth throw that they did to me. It was so good because of it was so quick, such little energy having to be expelled on their end. And the one thing that I was proud of when it came to is how I rolled through it and managed to get back up pretty quickly. Didn't allow myself to stay down for too long. Only thing I wish I had done was find out what the actual score of the whole fight was. I'd like to know what my points were compared to Sam. Like, was I completely annihilated, or did I put up a decent fight and trade hits pretty well? I don't know, but I would like to know that. Yeah, see, they just got like 3 or so hits on me, and I got none. So just, yeah, huge difference in the skill set here. See, and Sam's trying to take me down. They manage to start to get me, but I managed to wrap my sword and arm around them to try to make sure that we both went down together to keep the points even. And I should have. Kim's yelling at me, push, and I should have just gone and thrown as much as I could at them and just not stop. But yeah, Sam won that round. It was another good fight. I was very, very proud to have been able to go up against them. All hugs before and after all fights. And so now this was the longsword finale. Like this was the last match of the longsword tournament between Will from Vermont Armored Combat and Sam, who's from New York.
And in this green corner over here, we have Will from the Vermont Armored Combat Club. He fights often and is actually teacher to quite a few of us at the Combat Club. Everybody stacks up. Counters. Do you know who you're counting for?
Yeah, and around the ring there were always counters, like 4 of us, 2 that are watching the body of one fighter and 2 that are watching the body of the other, and we've got little clickers with us, and we're clicking those each time we see the person we're watching get hit, in order to, at the end of all the rounds, come together and kind of look at our points and say, how do we think each of the 2 did. And it was funny when trying to entice some of the fighters to come, such as Sam. Sam's a nerd, like many of us, and was very excited about the idea of trying to win some of the Warhammer miniatures that were up for grabs at the event. So that was a lot of fun. Oof. Yeah, Will got knocked over with a good kick from Sam.
Let's go, Will!
And you'll notice again, the crowd just kept growing and growing as the day went on. People got very excited to keep coming back to us to watch whatever it was that we were doing. Will managed to dodge that kick and get a few hits in. That was a good trade on Will's part, being able to get out of the way on that. And kicks don't count for points, but they definitely can help you gain an upper hand during the fight. There's something wrong with Will's helmet, having to readjust that. Make sure the faceplate stays on tight.
Let's go!
And nothing restarts. They just continue from where the timer was stopped. And it's funny, whenever Sam goes to an event and competes like this, especially for like a smaller event where we're just at this Ren Fair, a lot of people were just trying to root for not Sam. But that's just because we all know Sam is so good. Yeah, Sam ended up winning that. They got some Warhammer minis, and Will got a RPG book out of that, which is pretty cool. So now I'm going to show just a few videos from some of the other tournaments. Like this was a sword and buckler fight in the next category of the tournament. And this was between Killian from the North Horde and Arden from Vermont Armored Combat, who his armor has been messed up for quite some time, and we just got some repairs done to it, trying to make sure that it was ready again to be able to take part in this particular event, so then they could get back into the sport, get fighting again. So we managed to get things working enough, but there's definitely some more work that we want to do with Arden's armor to really make sure that it's safe, secure, intact, capable of being used, and so yeah, and so they put up a good fight against Killian. Both of them very similar fighters, being able to just kind of walk into each other and start bonking. Like Arden loves to use that word bonk whenever it has to do with the reason why they do this sport. So both of these fighters are able to give some good bonks. Let's get a little bit closer to the actual start of the fight. There we go. There seemed to be some type of armor malfunction, but they seem to be good to go. Arden's doing a pretty good job with the trades, going up, down, rather than just kind of going in one spot over and over again. But they're both doing good trades with each other. It's a good fight. And normally sword and buckler fights are done to just 5 points. Once a counter would say that there have been 5 hits made, then they would stop the fight, and that person would win that round. But we decided to go with 20-second rounds for sword and buckler, and just counting the points just like in longsword. So it was more exciting for the audience rather than really short, quick fights. and Arden is part of the Green Mountain Goblins, which is the other team for Vermont Armored Combat, the WNBT team. And so it was cool having them have that opportunity to fight again. So this was Michael wearing my helmet, just because their helmet that they had been wearing was giving them some problems. But I'm going to skip ahead to a later fight for them eventually. Let's get through. Oh, okay. So Killian, this is Jamesy from the North Horde, in the pink and the black Eastern European style kit versus Sam, who had just won the longsword tournament.
Stop fight, fighters to your corner.
Fighters, are you ready? Start fight!
Yeah, you see the crowds just keep growing and growing for us. The event went really well, and every time we were saying that we were doing another fight, plenty of people were coming to watch. Both of these people doing a great job. Jamesy, very quick, light on their feet, able to keep moving around. Oh yeah, so their fight just kept going and going because we kept tying them. Maybe we were off like by a little bit each time, but just the counters were counting the exact same number for both fighters each time, and so I think we ended up going like 6 rounds for the two of them. It was nuts. Yeah, this just kept going on and on.
Let's go!
You got this, James. Come on.
Yep, so we were trying to determine if we were going to do like a final round determined by like if someone made a single hit, and we would just stop it then, or if we were going to go another 20 seconds, and we just decided another 20 seconds. So it was an exhausting match for the two of them.
Stop fight. Fighters to your corner. Stop fight.
Yeah, the 17 rounds joke is something from the Knights Hall of just people fighting over and over and over again, just having round after round after round of ties, and just having to keep going and going until someone breaks that tie.
Let's go!
It's funny when you get to these types of rounds, everybody's just trying to be so careful to just try to get those few points necessary in order to, like, just
Stop fight. Fighters to corner. Stop fight.
to sneak in that win.
Let's go, Boston!
Stop fight. Woo. Give him another round of applause. That was insane.
So yeah, Sam ended up winning this tournament as well. Got some more pieces. So we're gonna... So when... Okay, so yeah, then Sam ended up winning the tournament for Sword and Buckler as well against Nate. Those were the two. So Michael here, I was telling you about, that's another VAC member, and this is Joe from the Knights Hall. And Joe's part of the Headsman, which I'm also a part of at the Knights Hall, just one of the teams there. So I'm the team captain for Vermont Armored Combat's Green Mountain Hermits, but I'm also a member of the Headsman with the Knights Hall. So yeah, Joe got a really good lift and sweeping of the legs on Michael in order to be able to take them down. And Joe's using a hatchet, basically, and a buckler, and Michael is using a buckler and a machete. They had taken a machete that they had purchased, did a little bit of sanding it down, make sure it's legal for the sport when it comes to the width of the blade and everything, to make sure that the width of the sharp part of the blade is dull enough and wide enough to count for the sport. And another one of our members, Art, did some work on the handle to create a guard around it, and so it's just a homemade weapon that they made out. And Joe dropped his hatchet.
Let's go!
And this is all part of the night fight chunk of the event. So this is a little bit more pound and take to the ground type of fighting, a lot more wrestling, a lot more punching and kicking, and trying to wrap up the other person to be able to bring them to the ground. Ugh. Michael got taken down again. But something that they're feeling a lot better about is not feeling as exhausted in their kit. And with my helmet on, they actually felt like they weren't getting their nose broken each time that they were in a fight. So I'm sure between those two things, like they're getting the opportunity to learn more of the movement of this fight, because they have experience in like jiu-jitsu, I think is what they've said that they do. But it's just, everything is very different once you put on 60 to 70 pounds of armor and you're trying to do a lot of those same things in the sport. So yeah, so that was another night fight, and I think we're gonna show you one other fight. And this was the pole arm fight. Very exciting fight, but sadly, as we got close to the end of the fight, you notice Sam there, who ended up winning the tournament for pole arm. Just look at that. Their poor pole arm just became broken right where the metal meets the wood. It was a very sad pole arm sound moment. Yeah, it was a real bummer for that. But they ended up winning based on points, and so that was the end of the pole arm. And Killian, I believe, was the one who won the night fight chunk of the evening, I think, if I remember correctly. But this is the last video that we're going to be showing you. This was just a three-way 1v1v1 free-for-all between Killian from the North Horde, Jamesy from the North Horde, and myself from Vermont Armored Combat. I'm the one in the green, and so I've got a shield and a machete of my own, and then, or actually I'm using Michael's machete, yeah, because I wanted to see how the guard worked and everything for that. And then the other two both just have like big heavy axes that they use, and my whole job during that whole fight was just trying to be as aware as possible to be able to move around my opponents and try to not get caught in a spot where I was going to start taking two-handed axes to the back or something. I was just trying to make sure that they were always staying in front of me, and that I had them in my peripheral vision rather than getting blindsided or chopped. So yeah, kept going. The first round was a lot of careful maneuvers between each other, trying to play it a little bit safe. And so I took like one hit to the side, managed to back into Killian, and then realized, like, nope, gotta go. So like started moving on Jamesy, and I managed to just barely make them lose their footing and take them to the ground right as the timer was done. Poor Jamesy has been fighting this whole entire day, so they were just exhausted from this event. I definitely had the advantage that this was my like second fight of the day, and so because I only took part in the longsword, so I definitely had an advantage on the energy. And I could tell during the second round, Jamesy wanted me so bad with that two-handed axe, and because I could even see just barely through the eye slots of their helmet, I could see them like eyeing me with their peripherals. They were kind of trying to make it look like they were going for Killian, but they were staring at me as I was there, and so I was trying my best to just not get taken out by Jamesy. But I wrapped up Killian's arm, just kept swinging at them with the machete that I had, and just got very lucky that Killian and Jamesy didn't decide to like tag team me, so I was able to just kind of keep pounding on Killian from the side, and then just trade every once in a while, going back and forth, but just being careful with the two of them still. And the timer stopped right there. Killian got their axe around my head right at the timer, and I knew if the timer had gone any longer, Killian would have pulled me down. Like it would have ended up happening because of the position that I was in with them. And we like doing these random things like this and then give the audience an opportunity to pick their fighter. So they ended up voting, and I ended up winning the night fight or this, not night fight, but this pseudo melee, this 1v1v1 match, which I was excited for. So yeah, the crowds loved us, and that's kind of the end of our videos that we've got for you. Yeah, so the last thing that I wanted to talk about today is just some of the other events that we've got going on. This coming weekend, nothing. We finally have a break this month. It's been a lot of events over the course of June. Luckily, nothing this week. Next week, though, like next weekend on the 29th of June, there's going to be a Highland Games event in Charlestown, New Hampshire, which is really great because that's really close to where Kim and I live, like right in the same area as us, and so it's a very short drive. And some of the other members from VAC are coming out to take part in as well, but it's not our event. The Pale Horses and the Portland Reavers of Maine are coming together to do a chapter match, which is like a day of melee fights and duels, and all these points are allotted together, and someone's keeping track of it all, and at the end of the day, one of the teams is a winner, either the Pale Horses or the Portland Reavers. It should be a lot of really good fights to watch over the course of the day, so if you're around the Charlestown, New Hampshire area, come to the Fort at number 4, which is the venue that's hosting the Highland Games, and these fights are going to be happening that are armored combat fights at the event. So that's going on. And then July 4th in Saxons River, Vermont, a few people from Vermont Armored Combat are going to be there, potentially be part of the parade, but at least be teaching some armored combat to kids. We'll have some foam swords and stuff like that to help teach some kids how the sport works, but we'll also be doing some demo fights to show off VAC to the local community during that July 4th event. And so if you're looking for something to do in about 2 weeks, then please come out and see Armored Combat. So once again, thank you to Cobco Arena Games for the donation of the prizes that went to people during the event this last weekend. And thank you to Deb Roberts and Jenna Luce, who are part of Remax Upper Valley Partners Real Estate. And they donated posters and some advertisement for us, so thank you to them as well. And thank you to you for watching these videos, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week.